Welcome to the Women in Business radio show with Sian Murphy, connecting women in business around the globe.
Hello and welcome back into the Women in Business radio show studio, and also welcoming us into our new studio down at the Trading Post in Tenston, which is really exciting. I, for one, am really, really pleased because before I had this huge studio and couldn't reach my co-host at all to poke or prod her or do anything else. And now we've got so many features on what we can do. It's just absolutely brilliant. I can actually work all of the knobs and buttons, which is like a really, really good start. And it's on like this little box and I can see everything. So I'm a really, really happy bunny, I have to say. So my co-host in the studio today is
K-Best.
And welcome also to Chad Mackenzie, who is the founder of Bling and Rocks and also has another string to her bow in our wellness, well-being and beauty show. So this is the show for you if you are running a small business in the beauty, wellness, well-being, helping other people find their own inner beauty and outer beauty and to feel good. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
So one day I'm going to write it all down. It'll come out and it'll be consistent. Who knows? Next month it could be something totally different. But that's basically what we're doing. So welcome into the studio, Chad.
Hiya.
Lovely to have you here. Just a little bit of housekeeping. So how can you listen in? Well, if you're listening in live, you know how to get hold of us. But if you would like to listen again or listen to our other shows, then you can catch everything on Audible, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Alexa. We're on Spreaker and iTunes and
Amazon Music.
I found we're on Apple. We're on the TV as well. We're on the telly. So we're sort of everywhere. Really?
Yeah.
And you can also listen to us on the womeninbusinessradioshow.com. So, announcements-wise, I think the next big event coming up specifically for women in business is the Women in Business Big Show 2024, which is at Longfield Academy on the 8th of August. It's a really fun event. It's free for visitors. We have exhibitor space from £35. And just come along. We've got 15, 20 speakers. It's a really good space to connect, meet other people. And if you would like to perhaps step out in your first exhibitor experience without breaking the bank and also without knowing absolutely everything that you have to do, so feeling comfortable about your first exhibitor experience, then the £35 stands are right for you. If you are experienced, if you've been in business a lot longer and you want to maybe sort of splash out a little bit more, then please do contact us. Have a chat about a little bit more of an adventurous stand, shall we say. So that's really if you're more established, we have something there for you as well. And it brings together people who are in the wellness beauty business with what I'm going to call them professional services. And it doesn't mean that everybody else is unprofessional, but it's those services that have got a professional qualification and perhaps work business to business. So that's people like lawyers, accountants, HR professionals, bankers, I did say bankers, and people like the FSB, so that's the Federation of Small Business. So it brings everybody together in one room. So there's a lot of sort of cross-pollination and really, really good fun. Loads of networking as well. It's a super fun event. So we hope to see you there. Right, let's welcome Chad into the studio properly. So welcome, Chad. And I think a really good place to start is just start off. Tell us a little bit about your story, what you do and who you do it with.
Okay, so I basically started Bling and Rocks in 2017 at about 3 o'clock in the morning when it came to me in a dream, literally. Everything came to me suddenly. And for once in my life, I actually acted on my dream. And Bling and Rocks was supposed to be Bling Rocks, as in really rock and roll type thing, but I couldn't buy the that domain name wasn't available, so Bling and Rocks was born. And I spent the next 3-4 weeks searching for the correct display stands, because again I had this vision and I was going to stick to the vision. And it did. It just all came to me. The rocks came to me on eBay. The stands I did, the drawings, I couldn't get them anywhere on eBay, Amazon, anywhere. So I went to Faversham, 3D displays, and said, right, I want these and I want them made. I've just taken it from there. And where I started with literally just a 6-foot table, doing nothing but diamante, I thought, right, okay, weddings. I'll go and do wedding fairs. Big disaster. Lost really lots of money. Never having been married, I didn't know that people don't buy on the day. And I am a trader. So when these people go to the wedding fairs, they don't buy. They go there.
They're going to the wedding fair to go to the wedding fair, not necessarily to buy stuff. So the wedding fair is all part of the extended experience of planning, which is all part of the wedding experience.
Yeah.
And so they'll be going to loads of them, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that they can plan it they can be involved in the wedding. Yeah. The more wedding fairs you go to, the longer the planning, the more venues you look at, the more menus you look at, the more you extend the experience.
Yeah.
Or the more you don't want to get married anymore. But anyway, that's another story. I've never understood someone that, plans a wedding for 4 years. But anyway, that's just me. That's me.
But they do.
Yeah, I know they do.
And actually, and I mean, that I assumed that people would go to a wedding fair. I have to say, and I run events, and I assumed that people would go to wedding fairs to get stuff. But now that you say they don't, and thinking it through and what I know about people, it's obvious.
Yeah, no, they go there, they go to taste the cakes, have a look at the cakes.
Bit of Prosecco, bit of this.
Free goodie bag. Oh, that's nice. Oh, I like that. Oh, yeah. £225 for a table is what the average for wedding fairs is. It's huge money. And I think the first one I sold £7.25. I also learned from that I was too cheap. So that was another big learning curve.
Yeah.
So that first year, I lost probably about £2,500.
Let's go back to a little bit more to the beginning. So Bling and Rocks it's jewellery, bling type jewellery.
Absolutely.
Without the diamond price tag.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So it's the sort of thing that people may buy to go on a cruise.
Yes.
They may buy to spruce up an outfit. It's basically some bling. So it's not quiet. It's not let's sit in the corner and be subtle with some little diamonds. This is I've got my stuff on.
I do subtle as well.
Yeah.
The sterling silver studs and so, but yes, mainly a lot of my stuff I buy very, very cleverly. And if it is an over-the-top piece, I wouldn't want somebody walking into the room and somebody else has got the same thing on. So I do just buy one.
Ah, okay.
They are one-offs, which is why I haven't got a website because I can't be bothered. So I just do events. It's now morphed into more the retro 1930s, 1940s type styles. So I do a lot of the military shows. And I do really well there because the poor ladies are very bored with seeing khaki and combat stuff and, imitation bullets and watching their husbands driving a tank around and things like that. Do you know what I mean?
It's like going to the scouts of the kids, isn't it?
Honestly, it really is. It's just,
Big boys' playground.
Yeah, and the ladies walk around, and I actually had two of them at the last show at Capel, and they went, oh, something for the ladies. And it was lovely, and the word went round, and those sort of shows, I not only do very well money-wise, but I have a great time, love the dancing, and they're fun events, and that's why I like doing them.
So, what the learning that I'm getting out of this is that depending on where you sell your stuff, you're not necessarily tying your stock up with or joining dots between the type of jewellery that you have and the people that want to wear it. You're joining the dots up at an event between having something that fits in with the behaviour of the people at the events. So at a wedding fair, actually, it's about the fair, it's about the experience. It's not about necessarily buying something, certainly not on the day. So although you may get a sale later on, if you've put loads of money into buying stock that you now need to sell, at a wedding fair, they're highly unlikely to buy it. They may come back to you. The wedding could be 4 years away.
Exactly.
And they could have gathered jewellery from 500 people by now. and your leaflet or your little whatever is in a pile of, up to the ceiling, and that they're still going through because they're enjoying the preparation experience. So if you spend the money, know that it's going to be a very long burn, and that you may need to make sure that you are in front of these people, that you're being reminded, that they're being reminded of you, and that it's no good having it as a one-hit wonder. On the other hand, if you're at something where there are lots of men and children who have bought mums and wives, that actually you're providing a diversion away from the abject boredom of the utter sheer, you can tell I've sheer soul destroying boredom.
Yeah, but that's it. You see, I actually love it. I love it. I mean, it's not just the military shows. I do a lot of the classic car shows as well. And I do this awful woman's one. I can't remember her name is. Oh, Sian Murphy.
No, you want to watch her. I'll tell you what. I've heard odd things about her. She can be very, very strange.
And on the other, they're like just the little one days. And again, they're the health and beauty ones. And it's the atmosphere. And again, it's down to the atmosphere. I've given up chasing money. When I first started, it was all about chasing money. And what happens if you chase something? It runs away from you.
You're not going to get it.
And that's the whole thing. So now I do the events that I want to do. I'm broke half the time and half the year because obviously there's no events. January, February, March is dead. I also, when they were doing Chatham Dockyard, did some amazing steampunk events. Of course, then they got a new manager and they didn't want us anymore. I didn't change my stock. The first couple of steampunk days, all I sold was Diamante. Outrageous Diamante. None of the Gothic chokers, none of the sort of black chokers, the Victoriana stuff, sold. It was all
So
bling.
are you saying that you don't that even though you may sell a lot of stuff of a particular type, you won't necessarily change your stock?
No.
Okay. Because I think that that's something that a lot of people do. I think a lot of people sit there and go, hey, lots and lots of this stuff is sold, so I must go out and get lots more of this stuff, or this didn't sell, therefore I'm not going to get any more of that, I'm going to get this instead. But you keep your stock not static, but you don't change your stock based on what's necessarily happening over a few events.
When I say I don't change the stock, I don't change
the style.
My style
Yes.
and my image. I'm incredibly fussy about what I buy. One of my suppliers in Yorkshire keeps saying to her, "Don't send me this. I'm not buying it. I'm not a market stall. I'm not knocking market stalls, but I am not a market stall. You know, I have a certain style, and I won't change it." Because somebody will walk through that door at a military show and buy a steampunk necklace.
Yeah.
Because that's what they want for their daughter.
So what? How do you have, for somebody who struggles with this sort of thing constantly, do you have you got a name? Have you got words around your style? Can you say what it is?
No, because it's so many different genres. That's the thing.
So how, when you look at, say, a piece of jewellery, let's just say it can't be categorised.
Yeah.
How do you know it's right for you to sell?
I don't. It's suck it and see. And I've had stuff that I've been stuck with for a year and a half. I had this luminous green thing that I was stuck with for ages.
Should you be talking about your stock like this?
Well, you know, the thing is, sometimes what I do is I go on eBay and I buy job lots. If somebody's gone bankrupt, that the business has folded, and it's like, there you go, you get 50 items. I don't know what they've...
But you don't know what it is.
Don't know what
so
it is.
You're taking... I mean, there's a programme on telly, isn't there something? I've
Yeah.
never seen it, but I've seen it advertised where they buy...
Vintage cash cow.
They bid on a
container.
A storage
Oh,
container.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I'm not that big.
Nuts.
Right.
It's really big in America, and it started coming
Yeah.
out over
Right,
here as well.
So
Yeah.
it's a...
They're lockers. That's a guy that's running a 1960s one in Sandwich. He actually bid and got the whole of the Eddie Cochran stuff from his death that had been in his room, in a locked room since he died, because he died very young, which his mum refused to touch. And when she died, they found it, put it in this locker, and he bid on it, and he got the whole lot. He had a massive Eddie Cochran exhibition a couple of years ago in Sandwich.
Probably made a fortune.
All unknown stuff, all never
So
seen.
this is really... It's quite an adventurous way to get stock, isn't it?
It is, but as long as you don't pay too much for it, because as I say, some of the stuff, it goes straight into what I call my boot sale.
So you have a ceiling, do you? You don't have to mention numbers
No.
because it's
Yes, I have a ceiling.
It's not relevant to
it's
people
not.
in other countries, but so you've made a decision. This is how much I pay
Yeah.
for these number of items,
Yeah.
and that's it. And I don't go above it, however twinkly I think it might be.
Yeah.
That's what I pay.
Because there's always going to be, I mean, they do put pictures out, but then you get the, and there's always something in a revolting green or a pink or something like that, and you know you're going to get stuck with it. But eventually there will be somebody that comes through that door and goes, "Oh, isn't that lovely?" And I go, "Oh, yes, it is, isn't it?"
So
And it goes eventually.
So you need to be able to keep a straight face.
Yeah.
Because just because you don't like it doesn't mean that it's not
Exactly. It's
lovely.
like
as
buying Christmas presents,
Yes.
isn't it? You
Yeah.
don't buy for yourself,
Yes.
you buy for the person.
But also, it's about playing the long game, and it's no point. It's no good thinking I'm going to buy this now, and I'm going to an event next week, and I will have sold it.
But it does happen as well.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
may or it may not. Who knows? So it's about accepting that there is some stock, there is some stuff that you
Yeah.
have, that you may have for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes, I know this, it's like the scarves that I showed at your Raynham a couple of weeks ago. I bought a few. I thought, I'll see if they go. I sold 3 that day immediately, and I thought, right, okay, so I'm going to get more. It's as simple as that. And a lot of it as well is cash flow. I've retired from my full-time job, so I haven't got that money coming in anymore. And that makes it hard for the cash flow as well. There's loads of stuff out there that I've seen that I would love to buy.
But I think that's a situation that a lot of businesses find themselves in. A lot of small businesses find themselves. I mean, cash flow is the thing that sort of, if you like, cripples or halts everybody.
Yeah.
So learning how to manage that, and it's like it's a real balancing act, isn't it?
It is, because the events have to be paid
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
So, and some of these events, like the one I've got in May, I had to pay for it back in October last year. I wouldn't have got in.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these events will not have more than one jewellery, or they won't have more than one vintage clothing, because they don't want a duplicate, which is very nice, but it means then that I have to, and some of them are like, I wanted to do Duxford. It's £468 for the pitch. Mm-hmm. I can't do it this year. It's as simple as that.
But also, it's such a it can be such a dodgy thing as well, can't it? Because very often events that are expensive, where you're looking at 300, 400, 500, 1,000, £2,000. You have to be so careful. I always advise people that you have to be ready to let that money go.
Yes.
That stand money, what you pay for that, and anything that you pay for the marketing is gone, because on that day, the motorway could be shut, the heavens could open, something else could happen, and a previously stunningly busy event that you've done really, really well at, or other people say, hey, it's brilliant, I sold thousands. You don't sell anything. Either you don't sell anything because they just didn't want that on the day, or something happens that the event organiser can't control, and nobody comes.
Exactly.
It just happens. Or even worse, I think. It's absolutely packed. It's heaving. Everybody else is selling stuff, but you aren't. It's just not your day. And so you have, if you pay for a stand on the basis that you're going to go to that event and recover that money and cover your travelling costs and cover everything else, you are in dodgy ground.
Well, it's the same as having a shop. You can open the door, but that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's actually going to walk through that door.
But I think sometimes sometimes when people are looking at how they're going to sell their stock, whether they're going to have, if you like, a pop-up shop at an event, which is effectively what it is, isn't it? Yeah. You go along to an event, you pay your money, you open your shop, lots of people come in, they buy your stuff, and then they go away again.
Yeah.
I think people's expectations on those one-off expensive events is far greater than when they either go to lots of small events where perhaps the stand costs are really very reasonable, or when they open a shop, I think they're already thinking 3, 4, 5 months in advance because they may have taken a lease out. So they're already thinking about ongoing costs rather more than putting all of their eggs in this, oh God, I've paid for this stand, now I've got to sell everything. I think it's just a different approach that people take towards it.
Yeah, I mean, the big events that I do, the outdoor events, I won't do one dayers because it's too much. It takes me 2.5, 3 hours to set up. So I'm not going.
So by the time you've done it, and these are all things that people need to think about. How long is it going to take you to get there and set your stuff up?
Yeah.
I mean, the Yorkshire Wartime Experience, I do really well at, but it's a day's drive. It's 235 miles each way. Then you pay for the pitch, and then it pisses down with rain all day. Excuse my language.
Right, yes. Okay, so there are quite a few risks involved, aren't there?
Yes, there is in any business, I think.
And you've also tapped into some of the multi-level marketing businesses, haven't you?
Yes, that's my other string.
Which I love multi-level marketing businesses. I really do. I think they get a terrible press, mainly because people misunderstand what they're about.
Yeah.
They think they're pyramid selling. They think they're illegal. They think you have to be annoying your friends and family with them. I love multi-level marketing businesses. And I think if we were to look at them at the moment and say, right, well, okay, what's the key difference between them, between having a multi-level marketing business and the other business that you run, is that you don't have to hold stock. There is no risk on the stock. So you may get a lower profit margin, but there isn't a risk because the majority of them will take returns.
Yeah.
But you can, or it's it's sale or return. If something goes wrong and a customer goes, don't want that, you can send it back. Sometimes you don't have to order it until such time as you've had the money from the client. So you don't have to have you don't have to hold everything. Somebody else is actually taking that risk.
Yes.
Aren't they?
Yes.
On the other hand, you're sort of dependent on somebody else. It's a bit like having a job, isn't it?
You're still also dependent on moving the products. So you're still, for example, going to pay to show your products, to show your catalogues or whatever.
Yes.
Or in my case, I've gone back to the old-fashioned way, and that's putting catalogues through doors. No point putting 3 catalogues through the doors. You've got to put 100.
Yeah.
Which is a physical.
This isn't through one. Hang on. This isn't through one door. Okay, so you have a number of catalogues that you can put through doors, and I think people will probably be familiar, say for instance, with like the Avon books. I'm not sure if they still do that.
Some people do.
Yeah, some people do.
So there's an Avon book. Very often, an Avon book will be popped through a door. You place an order, and the Avon representative will bring you that order.
Yeah.
And then you pay for it.
Yeah.
So
it's like Betterware and that, isn't it, as well? And a lot of people
Are they still going?
No.
I don't know. I was going to say, but a lot of people don't actually realise that they are pretty much the same. They are still multi-level marketing, aren't they? So
yeah. Not so much Betterware. Betterware was more where the area leader, everybody went underneath them, so they were the only ones that were actually earning.
Yeah.
That was at the time. But with the old-fashioned Clean Easy, that was always very much multi-level marketing.
Yeah.
So you could build your team and you'd get a small percentage
of what they did.
Of what they did as well.
Which is, to my mind, is no different to, if you go along to a shop, you have somebody on the till, you have somebody who is overseeing the people on the till, you have somebody who is overseeing what's being bought and what's coming in and out and making sure that the building's okay. You have tiers of management and they get paid different things.
Yes,
and
exactly.
that's it. And I don't really see, with somebody like Clean Easy no longer in existence, but with something like Clean Easy and, Body Shop also no longer in existence. There's a theme, isn't there?
Yeah.
You may get a little bit of money from somebody else in your team selling stuff, but how is that any different to, as a manager of a shop, earning, £40,000 more than the person on the till?
It isn't.
It's not.
It's not.
It just isn't.
No.
The only difference is that there isn't a shop. So nobody's having to pay for bricks and mortar, lighting, electricity and everything else that goes
wages.
with it. And wages. So it's a really interesting business model, and I think, in a really good way for people to start up with very minimal risk and actually learn about business and learn what it's like. I think the risk, though, and I think you've experienced already it once, and we've recently had it with Body Shop, is where they actually decide not to operate according to that business model, or they get bought out and they get assets stripped. And as a business person, it's a little bit like being employed, where your employer goes, actually, you're redundant, or we're shutting that bit down, or we're shutting that store, or we're closing the business, or we're not doing it this way. You're actually quite vulnerable to somebody else making a decision, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, with Clean Easy, that started in 1930.
Yeah.
And then it took a back seat because of the war and everything else. And that was like handmade brushes when people used to scrub their doorsteps. And then, yes, an American company bought it and then stripped the assets, and that was it. In 2018, it was gone. However, 3 of the higher people, including one of the main CEOs there, didn't want to let go of that concept. So they put their own money in, and it has now been revived under a different name. But still with some of the products, some of the cleaning products have actually got the Clean Easy logo on them still.
Yeah.
So it's great, because it's like me going back to 2007 when I first started. And it's like, plus it's got me off my backside since I've retired. I've been bored stiff, so I'm actually getting physical again. I'm going out, I'm putting catalogues, I'm talking to people. And it's, with network marketing, if you don't like talking to people, don't do it.
Yeah.
You have to enjoy talking to people.
I think that's the other thing sometimes with network marketing that I would say gives it a bad press, but makes people think that that there's something dodgy about it, is that some people give the impression, or they join and perhaps don't ask the right questions, that it's just going to happen. You're just going to sell stuff, or that you have to be constantly badgering your friends and family, and somehow out of this you're going to build a business. Well, you wouldn't build a business as a web designer by going and only selling to your friends and family. So you're not going to build a business, any business, by only involving the people that you already know.
No. Network marketing works if you work. It's as simple as that. You have to go out there. You have to be consistent. There's no point in doing a new road and putting 100 catalogues out in 100 houses, and you only get one order and you go, I'm not doing that road anymore. Because people want to know that you're reliable. We're very sceptical, the English.
Yeah.
We want to know that you're going to come back on the day that you're going to come back. We want to know that actually you're reliable.
Yeah.
So I give it 5 times. If I don't get my catalogue back, then that's fine. It's a loss that you're prepared to take.
It's part of your
And
business
it's part
loss.
of the business,
And
unfortunately.
I think that's sometimes the other thing that people miss is, because it's quite easy to start up. You don't have to very often invest a whole heap of money with this. It's quite affordable to start up. Is that it's not actually a serious business, and that everything that goes wrong is something is nothing. It just shouldn't have happened. Somehow you should have been protected from this. But it's a business, and the risks with it are exactly the same.
Yes,
that go with it.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, with this new Clean Easy thing, it's called Viva MK. After Michael Cathcart, that did actually start it all. And if you're going to do online only, because we've built the online now, so you've got your PDFs, you've got your PowerPoints and everything else, you can join for free. But that's if you're good with computers and you're quite happy to actually do it that way.
But also, you know, I think it's quite... what I wouldn't want to do is ever give somebody the impression that you can just sit there and poke things into a computer and Facebook and that suddenly you're going to sell stuff, because it just isn't going to work like that. And I think very often people's expectations are that is how it's going to work.
Yes.
But it doesn't, does it?
No, well, I'm very blunt with people. I actually give them the bad scenario.
Yeah, you have to go out and talk to people. It's not a business for people who want to sit behind a computer not having a conversation.
No, it's not. That's why I like doing the catalogues again, you know. And, I came across a house. It had so many stickers on there saying, do not cross this path, no, you know, called colas, no this, no that, don't want any catalogues, don't want newspapers, don't want this. And she ran after me and she went, you didn't put a catalogue through my door. And I went, have you seen your door? And she just started laughing. She went, oh, yeah, but that's not for people like you. And I went, well, it says no junk mail, no catalogues, no this. The dog's got a gun on the gate. And then she chases after me down the road and says, I want a catalogue. And it's like, you can never win. So, but I stayed and I ended up probably about 20 minutes in this road talking to the neighbours. But I know that they're going to be customers now because I've spent that 20 minutes of my time.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to do that at the start of a business, you ain't going to get anywhere.
No.
And it's no different. But I think when we look at the communication and talking to people, your two businesses really are not a lot different, are they?
No, they're not.
No.
And I think sometimes people will join an MLM business thinking that somehow they're going to escape the harder, if you like, for some people, not for everybody, but they're not going to have that selling thing to do, that somehow it's all going to miraculously happen. Whereas I think the only differences are about security and risk.
Yes.
I think your initial risk is greater when you're running a retail business that you are building and funding yourself. Yep. You're choosing your own products. You're making a decision about what you think will sell. You're then buying that, and you're taking the risk that you get it wrong. And if nobody buys it, you have the stock up front. Or with a multi-level marketing business, your risk is that you have other people making decisions that can affect you, like, hey, we're not going to do this anymore. But they are taking, if you like, the risk on the product research and working out what's going to sell, how much to sell it for, what the retail price should be, what the profit margin should be. They're buying it, they're importing it, they're making it, whatever it is they're doing. They're taking all of that risk up front, not you. No. And if a customer doesn't like it, then you can return it. You know, sometimes I say to people when they're looking to exhibit, what's your returns policy? And they don't say anything because they haven't got one. Well, at some point, somebody isn't going to like what they've got, or it's going to break. What are you going to do?
I give them if it breaks, that's fine. Yeah.
But what you know, a lot of people they don't consider that when they're setting up. You know, they're making stuff at home, or they're buying stuff in. They're selling it. At some point, you're going to get a complaint. You're going to get somebody who thinks that you're like John Lewis. You go, actually, I've just changed it. I just don't want it. You go, well, you've worn it, but I just don't want it. And you're going to have to deal with that, and either fund it yourself, or perhaps potentially disappoint a customer.
Yeah, no, I don't disappoint customers. I will give them. I lost 2 years, obviously, because of COVID. I couldn't trade at all. So 5 years I've been actually properly trading. I think I've only actually given 2 refunds out. Because a lot of it's customer service as well. And I think any business that you do, whether it's MLM or whatever, it's about communication. Smile. And I've done so many events and somebody goes, oh, well, this was rubbish. I've not sold anything. And you just think... But you sat on your phone looking at the floor all day. Yes. You didn't once lift your head up. it doesn't work like that.
You
if you're
have
victim
to-
mildew, you will not sell.
It just doesn't, does it?
No.
Not unless you're funny as Victor Meldrew.
Yeah, that's different.
If you're amusing, then potentially you will, yes. But
and it's like, I've had this row with other people. I mean, I did one in November, and I took like 300-400 quid, I think it was, in those 2 days, and somebody else just a couple of rooms down didn't sell anything, and I thought, well, you've not once stood up and said good morning to anybody.
just hello. You
don't have to say morning.
You don't actually have to have a spiel, do you?
No, you don't.
No.
Just eye contact
And hi, hello.
I'm here.
That's it.
Basically.
You don't have to go, hey, have you seen my,
Yeah.
have you had a look at this? Can I get this out? None of that. Just all you have to do is say hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if it's in a hotel, I usually say, oh, did you stay here? What was it like? Have you had a good night's sleep? Leave it. Then leave it. And I pretend to do anything, write anything, just so that then they don't feel pressurised that I'm jumping at them.
Yeah.
It's a really fine balance, isn't it?
It is.
And we seem to have taken this down into sort of selling at events, which I think is very often one of the key things. If you are a small business, if you're a small manufacturer, if you're a small retailer, then events potentially is your easier route in than having a shop or building an online shop, building an online website. But it's not always that easy, is it? I mean, what I say to people is bring a notebook, bring a planner. Write in your planner. Do anything. If you need to keep your hands busy, write in your planner. Do anything apart from look at your phone.
Yeah, or just look bored.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do something. So I think you've got a really interesting mix of businesses there. I think also the other thing potentially with MLM is that it can fit in really nicely to supplement somebody else's business, can't it? So if you're a beautician, you do facials. Is there a nice product that you can offer alongside that you genuinely believe is a fantastic product to work with on your clients? And guess what? They might want to buy it. So things like Tropic, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It could be Avon. Whatever it is, if there's a product that you love, is there an opportunity to actually have another little business running on the side?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you do
Alongside the two of
massage,
them.
you're going to use a massage oil.
Yeah.
So if one of these M&L companies sells a really nice oil, then why not? Why not try that?
Yeah.
So just it's very often these things, the multi-level marketing side of things can be a really good way of supplementing and building in an additional income stream onto something that you already have, that you're already established in, without you actually having to launch a completely new business.
Absolutely. And also, some people just
have
need
loads
the
of
extra
stock.
money. They just, a lady's got 3 kids. She drops them off at school. She's got 3-4 hours before she goes and picks one up from nursery or whatever. In that 3 or 4 hours, you can put easily 100, 200 catalogues through doors.
Yeah.
Especially if you're young
Bit
and
of
fit.
walking.
And then a bit of walking.
Exercise.
Go home, have something to eat, go and pick the kids up. 3 days later, go and pick your catalogues back up. You might have only made £30, £40, but that £30, £40 these days makes a lot of difference to someone's shopping.
Yes, no, and the thing is that it can build on it as well. I mean, when you consider that how many businesses actually start up and they'll have an investment, so they'll have invested in starting up the business, they're starting in a negative.
Yeah.
Whereas very often with a multi-level, and it could take 2 years before they start hitting some sort of profit. Whereas very often with a multi-level marketing company, you may be spending your time, but you don't necessarily have to put a lot of money into it.
No, I mean with us with the catalogues, the full catalogues is $35.99, and you get a full set of catalogues.
We have been chatting on for ages, and we have to wind this up really quickly because we are going to be back off air. So very, very quickly, Chad, how can people get hold of you if they're interested in working with you?
Right, Bling and Rocks is a Facebook page, and also Chad Mackenzie Bling and Rocks is for anything to do with jewellery. And with the Viva MK, I'm totally disorganised and I have not brought the actual details
They
for
can
it.
find you.
But
They can find
just
you
find
on
me,
Bling and
find me
Rocks.
with Chad Mackenzie. Just find me with Chad and Mackenzie and I'll send you the link,
Okay.
basically.
Finally, 2 questions. Number 1, what's your top tip for being in the businesses that you're in?
Smile a lot, be enthusiastic and just love what you do.
What do you know now that you wish you'd have known when you started out?
I wish I'd stuck to what I do now, which is leave it open. Just have a vision and stick to it. Don't try and change things. If you've got a vision, stick to it, because it will work for the right person and nothing will work for the wrong person. So it doesn't matter. You could sell green jewellery all day, but you can't, because the right person has to walk through that door and say, oh, I love green. Other people go, oh, no, I don't like green. You just got to have faith in your vision.
Have faith in your vision. I love that. Chad Mackenzie, I'm going to have trouble, aren't I? Chad Mackenzie, founder of Bling and Rocks. Thank you so much for your insights. Kate, you didn't get a word in edgeways, did you, dear, really?
No, that's fine, that's fine. So listening.
Kate, nodding off in the corner. We'll be back next week with the Women in Business Radio Show. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you all soon.
Tune in next week to the Women in Business Radio Show for more stories, ideas, and inspiration to help you grow your business.